Gavin Newsom has nominated for AG, for Attorney General, a man by the name of Rob Bonta, who's an assemblyman in California. And why is that important? Well, we'll explain in a minute because Rob Bonta is quite famous in California. Faced with, and here's the article from Cal Matters magazine, faced with a looming recall threat, Governor Gavin Newsom nominated Assemblymember Rob Bonta Wednesday as California's next Attorney General, handing one of the state's most powerful offices to a trusted political ally who will make history as the first Filipino-American to hold the position. Naturally, they have to mention the person's race, not whether they are getting the job based on merit. You can't do that in California anymore, of course not. This is an incredibly important office in the cause of, yes, racial justice, social justice, economic justice, environmental justice, Newsom said, adding that Bonta has been on the forefront of those causes. Bonta, 49, a Democrat from Alameda, California, developed a record as one of the Assembly's most liberal members. Folks, he's not liberal, he's a socialist. During his 8 years in the legislature and had backing from prominent civil rights advocates as he sought the post often called the state's top cop. His selection, which requires confirmation by the legislature, will likely play well with progressives who are hoping to see the Attorney General take a more active role in holding police accountable for misconduct. In other words, canceling the police, something former Attorney General Javier Becerra was reluctant to do. Becerra, who was a former congressman, by the way, was confirmed last week as President Joe Biden's Health and Human Services Secretary, handing Newsom the opportunity to fill the new AG position with who's normally elected to office with his own pick. So that's kind of important, right? Because Becerra, a former United States congressman, was elevated by the Biden administration to the Biden cabinet. And so that left Assemblyman in the California Assembly, Rob Bonta, as AG. So why does that matter? Well, because good old Rob Bonta is the same guy who invented the California exit tax, which we'll talk about in a minute. But first, here's NBC Bay Area reporting at the Rob Bonta and Governor Newsom press conference, which names Bonta as the Attorney General. Listen closely as they, of course, always play the race card. Here it is.
My parents are my heroes and my role models. They taught me to fight injustice, to right wrongs, and to help people. I wouldn't be here today without them.
I've gotten a first-hand view of not only his career and his professionalism, but also his character and his decency.
Yeah, okay, so that all sounds good, but the actual press conference went on where they, of course, use naturally identity politics to say that's why we're choosing him. Not that he's the best person for the job, but we're choosing him because of the way he looks, which, of course, is a major problem in America because it shouldn't matter the way a person looks. It should not matter at all. You should choose them based on merit. Are they the best person for the job, no matter what they look like? But that's not what happens now, of course, in progressive politics. And so Rob Bonta, the assemblyman that's getting this job as the Attorney General of the nation's largest state, is the same guy that put a bill in to have a California exit tax. And the California exit tax is a tax that keeps on taxing you even when you leave California. That's right, you leave California and the California exit tax continues. You're in another state and they still tax you even though you are no longer a California resident. So we're going to give you some flashbacks of Neil Cavuto interviewing Assemblyman Rob Bonta about this tax. It's pretty phenomenal that this guy's now going to be the AG. Here's the first of several clips. Listen up.
And on my next guest, the Democratic Assemblyman Rob Bonta, who wants, I guess, Assemblyman, it sounds like a wealth tax, a surtax on those who have a worth in excess of 15 or 30 million individually. Could you explain how that would work?
Yes. Thank you for having me, Neil. We're proposing a wealth tax, which applies a 0.4% tax on wealth above $30 million. It affects about 0.15% of the California population, so not the top 10%, not the top 1%, the top 0.15%, about 30,000 people, and should generate about $7.5 billion a year.
Yeah, so that is a tax that affects people that have a net worth of $30 million. By the way, not income of $30 million, but a net worth of $30 million. So if you have a marriage and combined assets in the marriage are $30 million, you have to pay this surcharge. But it's a little bit more complicated than that, because here's Rob Bonta explaining how you continue to pay these taxes even when you leave California. Listen up, here's that clip.
And we also have structured the wealth tax so that avoidance is not as simple as moving to another state. We have a phased-in approach whereby if you move in year one, you're 90% of the tax still applies to you. In year two, 80% of the tax, and so on for 10 years until it phases out. So we've looked at some of the wealth taxes.
Wait. Are you saying, Assemblyman, that after they move and they've left, you're still taxing them? They're no longer California residents. You can't legally do that.
For 10 years. The wealth was accumulated during their time in California, during the nexus that they had with the state of California. And that is what we're proposing in our bill.
Yes, so even when you leave California, for 10 years after you leave California, you have to pay taxes on that wealth, not the income that you make elsewhere, but on that wealth that you took out of California. Why do you think they're actually proposing this? Because so many people are leaving California. And to prove it, well, we have a couple more clips. And here's the next clip explaining additional information about this tax. Here it is.
But the fact of the matter is they were apparently not appealing enough for scores of companies to leave your state, go to places like Texas or Florida, safer confines for themselves and their money. I mean, it hasn't been just an exodus, it's been a jailbreak.
Look, on the margins, Neil, some businesses may decide to leave. That's their decision. We still do have a lot of very successful. We have quite a few successful businesses in California, Neil, as you know, Silicon Valley.
But they're down. They're running away. They are running away, right?
Well, our millionaires and billionaires have grown. Our economy has grown. I don't think the image of folks fleeing has panned out. I don't think it's historically true on the margin.
Yes, this is Rob Bonta. You know, this is the mentality of the progressive left, right? Well, we're still making millionaires, so therefore they're not going to leave even when we put this tax in. And of course, people are already leaving California and are doing so in droves. Primarily, they're going to places like Texas, but other places as well, like Nevada. And the thing is, as they leave, you know, the folks that run the state, like Bonta and Newsom, are completely, their heads are in the sand about what's actually happening. And of course, Cavuto is saying, well, but what about all the exodus? What about the exodus of all those businesses? And so we actually put this online before, this California exit tax. But this is new, of course, because now this guy, Bonta, is being elevated as the Attorney General of California. And one of the first comments when we put it up online was this gentleman put up, reminds me of the Eagles of Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. I thought that was brilliant because obviously that's exactly what progressives think about your money. You can't take your money with you out of California. That money belongs to us. That money belongs to us. And they never actually tell you, the progressives, as to what they're going to use the money for and what problem they plan on solving with just that money from that particular tax. Because they can't. Because if they do, then they would be held accountable for not succeeding on their programs. And that's exactly what they don't want. You don't want to be judged by, the fact that you're trying to succeed by raising taxes and implementing certain programs. No, you just want to throw out chaos, like saying it's a wealth tax because wealthy people are bad. And that's exactly what they think about the wealthy people in California, at least Rob Bonta. And that is the California exit tax sponsor nominated for Attorney General.